Hey everybody, it's Dan and Mole Man bringing you another video today about getting ready for the Pacific Crest Trail. Today I'm going to discuss backpacking stoves. There's really four options to decide on when hiking the PCT, or any trail for that matter. One would be to just go with no stove at all. Just don't use any backpacking stove, and everything you eat, just have it be ready to go. Option number two would be to use an alcohol stove, like the Vargo Triad, or just like a homemade Pepsi can stove. Option number three would be to go to a canister stove, such as the Jetboil or the MSR Pocket Rocket, anything that would use like a liquid propane fuel canister. And option number four would be to use a white gas stove, like the MSR Whisper Light. There's a ton of videos on YouTube, so if you want to see what the white gas stoves look like, just check those out. I'm just going to be talking today about the alcohol stove and the canister stove, because I know I want to take a stove with me, and I don't particularly have a Whisper Light, but it's just better for group cooking situations and for any time you want to have like a lot of control over your food. But for me, when I'm hiking, I basically just need to boil water and add that to like a freeze-dried meal, or just cook ramen noodles or pasta, things that are really easy to cook, you don't need a lot of control over. So we'll talk about this. This is the Vargo Triad, like I mentioned, and it's nice because on this side here, I can actually just pour denatured alcohol in here and light it on the top and use the fuel, or I can turn it over and place it on the ground like this, and then use an S-bit fuel tab. Just pop this off, light the fuel tab, and it's kind of like a dual functioning. If fuel tabs are good to use if you're having a hard time with alcohol, or basically also a good emergency backup in case your alcohol bottle breaks or spills. So you have your Vargo stove. Then this is what's called a Pinnacle Soloist from a company called GSI. Real nice, real light. I think it's a 6-ounce, 0.9 liter pot. So that's the nice thing I would take with me. Nice thing too is that it comes with a little cup. It's very similar to the cup that's on the bottom of the Jetboil. So that would just go right down into the pot. You could put your stove. If you didn't want to take extra fuel tabs, you could put that in there. Put that here, and then this handle actually just pops over, and it all closes down to there. So that would be your whole stove setup. Also enough room to fit in some lighter or two, and anything else that you'd want to keep with your cooking gear. The thing is, everybody thinks that alcohol stoves are a huge weight savings, but by the time you take into consideration the pan, the stove, all those things, and the bottle of fuel, you're only saving about 2 to 3 ounces over the Jetboil stove. Now, one thing to keep in mind is as you use the fuel, you obviously don't carry that weight. So when you're closer to a town stop, or when your bottle's running low, you are saving a little bit more weight. So it definitely is true that there is some weight savings with that. But the downside to using an alcohol stove is that it typically takes about 15 minutes to get 2 cups of water boiling. So if you're patient and you know when to start that, it's not bad. When if you start this as soon as you get into camp and then go do a few things, it usually isn't a big deal. But I personally like to have hot meals during lunch breaks and times where I don't want to wait around. So that's one of the reasons that I really love the Jetboil. So the way the Jetboil would work is you just have a fuel canister and your stove just spins on like that, and then the actual pot right here just clicks onto that. And then you just turn the fuel on, light that up, you'll have boiling water in 2 minutes. So really, really, really love the Jetboil. I do think I will start out with the Jetboil, but I will have this ready to be sent to me in case I get tired of or have a hard time with the fuel canisters, or if it doesn't work so great in high elevation. So we'll see how the Jetboil goes. But then when you're not using the Jetboil, you just go like that, put the canister in first, put the stove in, put the lid on, put the bottom on. So, and like I said, it's not too much of a weight difference between the Jetboil and an alcohol stove. So I definitely think the Jetboil might be the way to go, especially because I don't really let the fuel canister burn too long. I get that 2 cups of water boiling, and then I put my meal inside there and just let it simmer, let it cook. So I really, one of these fuel canisters can personally last me up to 2.5 weeks on the trail. So I won't have to be trying to find these, every single town stop every once in a while. I'll have to get one of those. But so that's the Jetboil. This is what'll go with me to start, and this will be a good backup for me. The other thing that I have over here are the different options out there in the world for different containers, cups, bowls, and silverware up front. I won't take any of this. This is great for day hiking and picnics and to keep in your car. These type of items from Fozzles, they actually just fold down. So they're good, easy to clean, and they're kind of neat just to show your friends. It's kind of like a fun thing to have, but not when you're really counting the grams. These are kind of basically just added weight. I can actually just put food right into here and eat it right out of the Jetboil. They also have GSI, the same company that makes this pot, has just collapsible bowls. Actually, I'm sorry, these are from a company called Goyot Designs. So they basically could just get packed down into your bag. The only really cool ones that I really like are little tiny shot glasses. This is definitely something fun to take on a day hike, or just an overnight weekend hike. These only weigh half an ounce, so an ounce for the set of two. So it'd just be kind of cool when you're hanging out with your buddies to pull out a little shot glass. They'd get a kick out of that. Then I have silverware up front. I have a Stopeak titanium fork. This is ironically the only piece of silverware I took on the Appalachian Trail. Every time I bought a spoon, it miraculously disappeared. So I hiked the entire Appalachian Trail with just a fork. Not a spork, not a spoon, just a fork. So interesting when I was trying to eat certain meals. But so that's a nice half an ounce type thing. Now Sea to Summit, I just picked these up not too long ago. They have these, they're actually titanium. I mean, they're actually aluminum, but they're like an aircraft aluminum, a hard aluminum. And this only weighs 0.4 ounces, so a little bit less than even my titanium one. And I will take a spoon and a fork, so hopefully this spoon survives. There are some other ones. This actually came with my Pinnacle Solace pot. This actually only weighs 0.3 ounces, and it's a collapsible spork. So that's a pretty sweet option. I definitely like that. And this is a collapsible spoon that weighs 0.3 ounces, so even lighter than anything out there, and it collapses down. But for me, I will take the spoon and the fork and pray that my spoon stays in my backpack. So that's a quick overview about the different options for stoves. One thing I do recommend with all your gear is to own a little postal scale and weigh everything out yourself, even just so that so that knowledge is a lot of the battle. So if you know that this one weighs 0.1 ounces less than this one, you could never tell that by holding them. And when you would hold you'd think that the titanium one would be lighter than the aluminum one, but that 1.1 ounces, if you do that a bunch of times, you're going to lower your pack weight and have a more enjoyable time, because there's really no performance difference in these two forks. So, alright, thanks for checking that out. Bye-bye.